what we're talking about today is actually the most basic, fundamental foundation that you have to have in yourself to be successful for yourself. And that is the willpower to do. And this is where we see in this business the largest amount of failure. Now, I want to say that with this idea that and I know this as a fact because I've coached so many people with so many different backgrounds and so many different levels of wealth and so many different levels of education. To know one thing is that every one of us have equal opportunity to be successful in this business or a business with this one principle, and that is doing. Just doing these things is going to create success, and everyone can be successful. But the big problem is we let our own mindset get in the way of doing, and there's so many ways that we can distract and divert our time away from the actions that we have to do. And there's no way around not doing the actions, because not doing them, you can't make it. You just can't make it. You have to be able to do them. So I created a bunch of slides. I don't really always follow a slideshow. If you know, I'm more like just talking, and so I may be a little bit off from what the slides say. This is just the way I do my training. So we're gonna try to follow as best we can. And so again, it's why is it so damn difficult to take action? And I think every one of us can say, "Oh, yes, I have problems doing that." And it may not be your real estate business. It may be something else, that you said you were going to achieve and do, but it takes certain steps to get to that, that final thing, and whatever that is. And so it's in your mind, it's a desire, and so, it's always that I want to be successful. There is nobody on this planet Earth that doesn't want to be successful, but you can't be successful unless you do the things that make you successful. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's some of my kind of prerequisites, and you're on a strict diet and someone puts one of these in front of you, what are you going to do? It's really going to be hard. I would have to eat one. Just going to tell you. I'm like, I don't have enough willpower probably not to eat one. So, but it's about having the mental willpower and the mental discipline to say, I can't eat that if that's you're on that strict diet, and this is against that diet. And so and that's it. So everything is mental. It's all mental. It's us against ourselves. And if you know the training or the coaching product that I created, Me versus Me, which is non-actionable me versus actionable me, you've already been exposed to this. But and I'm gonna throw a couple of these up here. You're on a regimen to get fit with a 6 a.m. morning routine. You stayed at past 1 a.m. last night before. And so are you gonna get up? Or are you gonna, climb out of bed? You've only been in bed 5 hours and you're gonna stay on the routine. This is where you're either gonna make it or you're not. So you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. And no matter what, you have to continue to do the actions, because they're gonna do some of this stuff maybe today, or you did it today and it was nothing great happened, right? Nothing really materialized, nothing exciting. It was actually a pretty awful day. I tried to do the things to be successful, Scott, but it sucked. So what is that gonna how is that gonna affect tomorrow? What is gonna happen tomorrow? Well, tomorrow you need to get up and just do it again. Do it again. Now, I was speaking to someone on here that jumped on early, and what has to happen too is we have to kind of find the methods of this business that will create opportunities that please us the most, right? Because if I threw like my first broker did in front of you and said, here's 10 addresses, I want you to get in your car right now and I want you to go knock on their doors and talk to them about how you can sell their home because they are expired listings, you would probably say, there's no way in hell I'm going to do that, Scott. I'm not prepared. I have no confidence. I'm not going to, deal with the rejection. This ain't going to be the business for me if that's what I have to do. So we have to find the pleasurable ways to make this happen, but we have to be disciplined. So you are making prospecting. You are to make prospecting and follow-up calls, but you need milk from the store. Where do we work from as real estate agents these days? I just don't happen to see every one of you in the office at 9 a.m. and you leave at 5 p.m. You are working from home generally. And so who's going to hold you accountable? Who's holding you accountable? Are you strong enough to hold yourself accountable? Are you strong enough to hold yourself? And I'm going to tell you that unfortunately, most are not as good at holding themselves accountable as they need to be. And when that happens, we have to find a solution. When we know we can't do this ourselves, we have to then seek for a solution and not just sort of keep faking this. And in order to make it, we got to find a solution. I can be your solution. I can be your accountability partner. I can help you be accountable. Your significant other or somebody else in the household, maybe make them more aware of the challenge you have about being accountable. Now they have to have a certain strength inside them to be strong enough and understand how to keep you accountable, because if they're not strong enough or always give in and say, oh, don't worry about it today, tomorrow's another day, well, that's not the accountability that you're going to need to be successful in this business. So the problem is we can easily be distracted, easily give ourselves excuses. And this is one of them. Oh, we need milk. Okay. Well, I got to either get on the phone and make these calls I'm not so excited to make, but oh, I need milk. So why don't I just go get the milk and then maybe I'll come back and make the calls? Well, that's probably not going to happen now. And so that's a problem. So we're going to dive in and kind of talk deeper. Well, why is our mindset putting us in a position to not give us, help us stay disciplined and help us, follow through and actually make it happen. And we're going to talk about those. So avoidance. Why do agents avoid prospecting? We're going to talk about that. It's pretty simple. You already know, the big thing about this is I'm probably not really telling you something you are not already been exposed to somewhere in some way, but perhaps it's a reminder. Perhaps it's something that will trigger you to take and look into yourself a little bit deeper to decide that I'm going to find the solution to my weaknesses. Pleasure. Why wait until a financial pleasure hit or wait until financial pressure hits? And that's sometimes what happens is, somebody goes into this business and they think all it is about showing a home or going and meeting with a seller and listing a home. And then that's really none of the business except for that's the prize, right? Because the business is, well, who needs my services? Who do I got to get the person that needs to see the home that really wants to buy the home, or the person that has made the decision to sell their home. That's the business. So the prize is what? To get the opportunity to work with them. And the grand prize is actually getting to the closing table. But we often say, well, I've got a little bit of cushion I can live off of. And then that starts dwindling. And then what? We get into a financial situation, and we're pretty much, we've allowed ourselves to take a pathway to push ourselves completely out of the business. And it might start with, oh, I better go get a part-time job. Well, when you get into that system of that happening, it is going to be even harder. So you think it's harder in the beginning, and I haven't really got the thing started. When you lose it and you are backtracking, you are actually putting yourself in a position where it will actually be more difficult for you to climb back out of it than ever. So productivity wise, stay busy instead of productive. And so that is the other thing. So, I was work with agents and I coach agents, I'm like, well, what did you do? And like, I was on social media, I commented on posts. I said, so you showed me your schedule and you were on social media for 2 hours. Can you give me a little bit deeper? Well, I started looking at reels and this and that. And so they felt, and they literally told me they felt like they had been productive that day because they did social media. The social media they doesn't ever result in anything, but they were on it, and then their mind drifted, and then they got out of the business aspect of the social media and was just wasting valuable time. And then all of a sudden the end of the day comes, and now, oh, they get to go into private time mode. So the real challenge, the biggest obstacle is usually emotion, mindset, and consistency. Consistency. Now, consistency is a big deal. We have discipline and consistency, and we're going to talk both about those. So, and if I don't usually have you on, Coco, and a couple others. I don't necessarily like to be the only one talking. You're welcome to ad lib into or ask questions as long as we're staying on topic. So please be willing to do that because I don't necessarily like to be the only one talking all the time. So I don't want it to just be a speech. So um, taking action is actually simple, but not easy. Agents know they should call leads, follow up, network, post online, host open houses, contact FISBOs and expireds, or whatever that methods might be. But in reality, and I do this. I'm no different than you. Procrastinate, overthink, avoid rejection. One of my biggest weaknesses is called perfectionism. Perfectionism is I can say, I'm going to start doing something. And one of mine has recently been doing shorts on social media or reels and those things. But I'm like, it's not good enough yet. It's not good enough yet. So it's not happening. That's the wrong approach. You must do. You must do, and then you may fumble. It may not be the best, but if you don't just do and accept and then improve upon, then you're going to stay in that procrastination world, or it's never going to launch. So we have to just be willing to get out and just do, regardless of how we feel in our own confidence or what it might seem like the perception is on the other side. And then we just do again. That in itself is a mechanism to actually create discipline and consistency versus not. So knowing what to do is simple. Having the mindset to do it is the hard part. Does anybody relate to this? So,
I do.
if not all of you say yes, you're not a human being. Okay.
Actually, I was wondering why did you choose that topic? There must be a reason.
I have done so many topics in the last 1 year. These are some of the bigger last ones. This is a topic that's been involved really heavily starting in December because I created a new training program that I started in October, and most of you know what it is. It's called Me Versus Me, and it sets you up for the exact blueprint of the actions for whatever way you're going to do the business. And then it's coupled with a morning text from me every single morning to keep you sort of accountable. That still may not be the big enough to do it, but as I dive deeper and deeper and deeper into my coaching, I know where the originating weakness in our own ability to be successful for ourselves, and you are watching it right now. Okay. So, and all of us are on the same page because we all have it. So, all right, let's continue on. Fear of rejection. That is huge, right? We don't like to be rejected. We want yeses, and we will, avoid doing the call or avoid doing whatever, just so we don't hear the no, right? And here's my take on it, and most of you already know most of my success as a real estate agent came from the most dreadful things of this business, and that's cold calling and door knocking. And so do I have to overcome the fear of rejection in a big way? Yes. As being a person that is not outgoing, that's even harder to do. So just a minute, I'm getting interrupted. Turn the phone off. Just a moment. Turn the Thank you. Sorry about that. My wife just walked in. So rejection is huge. Is that going to happen? Are we in the business type to have rejection? Absolutely. It's just part of this business, and you have to be willing to, go for it anyways. And here's the way I see it. So when not making or reaching out to somebody for an opportunity, what's the answer already? It's no. But if I make the call, or whoops, I hit the button. If I make the call, it could be yes. So if it's not a yes, it is still a no, it's still a no. So why not at least go and try to make it a yes? Why? It isn't hurting anything, and so hurt your pride, I guess, when you get rejected. We do not like, and we will never like rejection. However, you have to be willfulness to accept the fact that it could be a no and that you would be rejected. But the only way that it can possibly be a yes is actually make, whatever that is, whatever reason you're reaching out, you got to just do it. And I think what happens, in the best way for me to teach you how to do it, is do it quickly. Don't think about it. Just say, I need to call this person, and make that phone call as fast as you can, because the more time you have to internalize it, the more time you have to be feared to make the call because of the rejection, and to make the decision not to make the call. And so that is how you do it. So now, inexperience. What if I sound inexperienced? You probably will. If you haven't made enough routine, and I'm, obviously talking about phone calls a little bit here, but it could be anything. And who's the phone call to? It could have been somebody that came to your open house. It could have been a neighbor down the road. Whatever that is, you just got to make the call. Now, are you going to be inexperienced if you haven't had a lot of experience doing it? Probably so, but you might be surprised. But you can't fear it, and you have to do it. The part about what I do and when I coach is I coach on skill set. Skill set is a big piece of it because the more skilled you are, the less you have to be feared of rejection, the less you have to be feared of inexperience, and the more yeses you'll get. So it's a proven fact that the more you are skilled, the more you are capable of converting somebody from a no to a yes. But that comes in alignment with just doing it. What if I fail? Well, I will tell you this. There is not a single person on this planet Earth that's been successful without failing first. This just doesn't happen. They might, some people might get there a little quicker than others. It happens, right? Some hit more hurdles than others, but they still ran into hurdles, they still failed, and then they succeeded. It's just no other way. Because as we go to do something, we don't know what's going to happen or what to expect until we've actually done it. And when we do it, we didn't expect something. But what our need then is to be able to back up and say, okay, the next one I call and that happens, this is what I got to do so that I can get past that hurdle and make it happen. So that's how I handle that. Rejection is a part of the process, not proof of your value. Okay, move on. Fear of judgment. Oh, I'm going to get embarrassed. Some people are going to criticize me. I'm looking at experience. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm doing little shorts, little coaching tips and stuff on social media. I've done it before. I'm somewhat comfortable, but I'm doing it in a big way in the last few days. And I watched the video myself over and over again, and I asked myself, do I look scripted? Do I look like confident enough? And is somebody going to criticize me? You know what? So I've came to a conclusion. I don't even care if they don't like it. Go to the next reel, because at the end of the day, I have to do it. And at the end of the day, if they actually pay attention, they will get something valuable out of what I share with them. But if you look at the ones that I've done today and ones I've done a year ago, you would probably say, hey, Scott, these are a lot better. They seem to have better edits to them. They got better voiceovers or whatever I've done. And then a month from now, my videos are going to look even better. Why? Because I'm doing them. And so that's how this all works. Perfectionism. I've already told you, I'm a proponent of having myself super organized. This presentation is organization. Did I think that this slide or that slide needed an improvement? I did. So, but this is the product. This is what I'm sharing. But I am a proponent, and I'm having to push myself to say, it's just good enough, Scott. You just got to go. You just got to put it in action. You got to make it happen. And otherwise, that is a killer of success. Procrastination is a killer of success. And you have to stop the procrastinating, and you just have to take action. And then based on your actions, you will falter. There's no doubt you're going to have some bad moments, but you're going to learn by those. And by learning by those, you will make corrections, you'll improve yourself, and better things will happen on the next occasion. So emotional discomfort, internal struggle. Prospecting triggers anxiety, self-doubt, while the brain naturally seeks safety and comfort. And that's it. So there you go. where you need to sit down and you need to do follow-up calls. I mean, literally, I'm like, you know what? Call 10 people or 15 people out of your sphere of influence in your phone. Just say hi, see how they are doing, catching up with life. People that you haven't talked to in 12 months, you might stop and say, I'm not sure. I don't understand. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yes, I need milk. Right? Like, that's the thing. I need milk. I need to go to the store. I'm not gonna. I'll do it when I get back. And then what? It doesn't happen. That is solvable by one big thing, and that is to don't think about it and just say, dial the phone and just do it. And let whatever happens, happens, and then we'll talk through it. Now, when you're talking to somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, you got to use the right openers and stuff. So we have things called scripts and dialogue, and I have them for everything, every scenario on the planet regarding real estate, and can help you with that. So yes, could it be good to spend a few minutes and study that? As you already know, that I always say, start your day with some skill building activity before you roll into something as such as making calls or something like that. So overcoming resistance, growth happens when you step beyond the comfort zone. Sorry about the banging in the background. Lack of immediate rewards. Prospecting plants seeds today for future income. Success in real estate often happens in delayed rewards. So it's very common that I needed, when I did my business as a sales agent, I needed instant gratification. So I did well because I went for expired listings, and I succeeded in being able to transition them back into the active world as me being their agent. So because if I wasn't really good at following up so much, that is a skill set that we should develop in ourselves in this business. And so I probably lost a ton of business because of my poor follow-up skills. And so we have to realize that we have to have a strong follow-up system. We have to have it as a part of our, daily routine, or at least, fit it into 1 hour segments every week, and being able to follow up with leads in the pipeline, or just old business or somebody that we haven't talked to in a long time. So comparison and social media pressure. Stop comparing your beginnings to someone else's middle. What do I mean by that? So I would say, as I always have preached, so I have to live by example, and I'm doing that now when I do these reels and shorts. That's the same kind of content that a good real estate agents that want to have a business model where they attract customers. Social media is an amazing platform for that. And what you inevitably know some agents in your market when you go on your social media that have pretty dynamic videos that they create and publish. Okay. And you look at that and say, okay, how can I compete with that? I can't compete with that. And so you're self-destructing. And so, you know what? It doesn't matter. And again, you have to just say, I'm going to do it, and actually take action. And the quicker you take action, the more likely you're going to do it. Now, with that, it's going to be kind of tough because what? You make the video, excuse me. So you make the video, and you have time to digest it before you post it, right? So when I say do it immediately, that's not necessarily an immediate thing, because unless you're doing lives. Well, we don't do lives so much anymore. We record them, we do some editing, and then we post them, right? But what the moral of the story there is, once again, You have to start somewhere. No, you won't have amazingly polished videos if that was part of your method for doing your business as far as prospecting and getting customers. But you still got to start somewhere, and you just got to do it, right? It's the same thing. Stay on your own path of consistency and growth. Anybody have any questions or input? I am speaking all of it, so no.
Uh,
Are you still relating to me?
I
no,
am.
actually,
Okay. Am
Scott,
I
Scott,
tingling some brain cells?
hey, Scott, I think what you said was most prudent, that real estate involves delayed rewards. That's probably the most pivotal point because, and you're having to build that lead generation and the follow-up and all the consistency, but it can be a delayed reward, like short sales, things like that, you know.
Yeah, so I just did a short and it was the business that you are kind of making today isn't gonna really materialize for usually about 90 days, right? So that's the other part, we want as people in general, we want instant gratification. Well, if you look at the picture on the screen, is a plant, right? So it's the same process. You can't have a seed, a tomato plant seed, and tomorrow morning you got tomatoes to cut up and eat, right? It takes nurturing and stuff. So this is very elementary. Um, but what I want you to take away from this is, you know, I'm not doing it. And so what the takeaway is you got to sit down and start sketching out how you're going to fix the inefficiencies you actually have and what is the cure for them. What is the cure for them? Because if you don't create the cure and have an action plan to fix your inefficiencies, then no change, right? Which means the same results that you already have been getting. Nothing changes, no different results until you change what you're doing and how you're participating in your own business. So, the confidence myth, action experience,
actually, that's a good point.
What's that?
No, I mean, I was going to say something about that, but go ahead, please.
Okay. So, the cycle of growth, action, experience, competence, and competence and confidence. So that's kind of what I just been sharing with you almost on every slide is most people wait for confidence before they act. The truth is confidence is the result of the process, not the prerequisite. Okay. I can understand because I would be, everybody wants to have confidence. If we don't have confidence in ourselves, how can we expect somebody to be confident in us, right? So here's your confidence. I'll give you your confidence because you already have the right confidence without knowing you have the confidence. The confidence is knowing that if someone had the fortunate opportunity for you to be their agent and their advisor, you know that they would get a trustworthy, honest, hardworking, faithful, amazing real estate experience. That I know. So that is your confidence. Because when they don't get you, they may not get that. So let that be your confidence because you have that in you already. But the problem is you don't feel strong enough to make the call or to do whatever the action is. And the weakness of that is preventing you from the opportunity. And that's the piece That's the very big piece that you have to just say, I'm just going to do it. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to do it. And as quickly as you can actually do it, that will change everything. The key insight, confidence is built through action, not through thinking or preparing alone. Identity and self-belief. The power of self-talk. Your self-talk shapes your behavior. What you say to yourself defines your actions you'll take. Okay? So if you don't give yourself much time and you just take action, because once you have yourself, give yourself enough time, you're gonna not do it, right? Because you're gonna say, I don't feel like I'm ready, or I just know they're gonna say no, or and the next thing that is gonna happen is, it just doesn't happen. And that's wrong. That's wrong. And if you don't fix it, if you don't fix that, it's never gonna work for you. Mindset shift from fear-based thinking to service-based thinking. And that was the confidence that I already said you have, is knowing that when they do have that privilege to know you are out there, that you are good at what you do and you serve them at a capacity as if they were your own mother, that your services are your competence, your services prevail, and that is a great thing. Key takeaway: your internal narrative is the foundation of your professional services. All right, let's move on. I don't know how many more slides we got. So the cost of avoiding prospecting. The hidden cost: avoiding temporary discomfort creates long-term pain. I'll say that again. Avoiding temporary discomfort creates long-term pain. So how long or how many more days are you going to tell yourself, tomorrow I will start? And then tomorrow comes, you're not confident. And then you'll say, tomorrow is another day. That's when I'll start. It's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So the path to success is consistent prospecting creates freedom. Action versus inaction, and that's a big deal with me. I can, I'm giving you some solid nuggets right now, but are you going to truly get off of this session? And is it really going to happen? Now, that's the part. The part of this means that if you cannot do it alone, there's an option. If you can't do it alone, there's an option, because that's finding the solution. And that's through somebody like myself, a coach, somebody that can coach you, somebody that can be accountable, help you be accountable, help you break through. Choosing the temporary discomfort of growth over the permanent regret from missed opportunities. So we are boiling down to, we got less than 30 days. We're halfway through the year. We all should have done our vision boards, which is our 1-year goal. And it's going to be interesting because we'll have that session at the beginning of next month, and we're all going to pull those things out. And we're going to say, are we 50% there? Are we 50%? Now the goals are all over the board, right? They're really our life goals. They're not necessarily business goals, but business is a piece of it. But, are we there? Are we halfway there? Or are we not? And why haven't we got halfway there? And what do we have to change? Because if what we've done for 6 months hasn't got us halfway there, if I do the same thing for the following 6 months, am I going to magically make it? No. Something has to be changed, and we have to figure out what that change needs to be. and we have to find the solution to actually make that change exist. So use the temporary discover. Oh, I already read that. So action versus inaction. Discipline beats motivation. Motivation, here's the deal. What is motivation versus discipline? It's real simple. You come into my roundtables, you come on the Zoom. This one is a little different because this one isn't really all exciting, right? This is not exciting stuff like me showing you a shiny new tool or, giving you a better script for the people walking in your open house. Those are shiny objects that make you motivated. This subject is not necessarily doing that. It's making you feel a little depressed or something because you're like, it's like, are you speaking to me? So motivation is something that enhances or lifts you up or makes you feel like you want to go and make something happen, and that's motivation. Now, discipline is actually more powerful. It's more valuable than motivation because discipline means that when you get that excitement and that motivation to do and succeed and make things happen, is keeping that level of motivation enhanced at all times because we have to be able to repeat. So you leave an amazing session and you go out and because you're all psyched up and your emotions are peaking and you think that you can conquer the world, then you make a couple calls and something great happens. But when you wake up tomorrow morning, are you disciplined to do it again and do it again? Because the next day may not be so great. It may be just the opposite. It really sucked, but you got to get up and continue to do it. Now, inside that is building skill set and also making some changes. If you're not kind of constantly, kind of changing up your game to try to improve it, then that is also a problem. But discipline is actually a very basic foundation. I have four of them, discipline being one of them, systems being one of them, passion being one of them. I don't even remember what the other one is at the moment, but building routine. So you already know if you don't have systems, then you have no plan of action. If you wake up tomorrow morning and it's whatever happens, happens, instead of between this hour and this hour, this is what I do. Between this hour and this hour, this is what I do. This is my routine. This is my system. Then you have nothing. You have nothing. You have no structure. You have nothing. You're never gonna. Nothing really good is ever going to come out of that. So we have to have a system for the day, a system for everything inside that time blocking period as well. Daily calls, tracking conversations, follow-ups. Consistency is key. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going into success is inevitable. Reducing prospecting fear. Okay. How do you reduce that? Here it is. Pretty simple. Focus on helping people. The most valuable thing that you can do to make yourself successful, the most valuable thing you can do to attract business, which means, I've talked a lot about making calls, right? But what if the phone was ringing, right? The phone was ringing and people were like, help me, help me. It is truly helping people. I am on here helping you. I focus on helping people. And when I focus on helping people, then what you are attracted to what I do for you, and it's sort of the glue that keeps you around me and want more. And that's the kind of methodology that you should be using within your own business is how can I always be helping people? And because I help people, that's how I'm going to build goodwill. That's how I'm going to grow my business. That's how everything is going to get bigger for me. Because when I help people from the heart and when I do a great job, then that person is now a forever, or what I call a raving fan. And that through them, it's going to grow my business and I'm going to be successful. So that part of being an entrepreneur or owning a business is called goodwill. And you want goodwill to grow because in the beginning it's hard, right? You got to make the calls, you got to be, do the dreadful things. But as time goes forward and things start to materialize, you should always have a segmented time of doing those repetitive actions. But now, as those are going, other things are just kind of coming to you from doing that and serving the customers. Practice, repetition, start small. Here's another thing. So start small. If you want to make success happen and you are lost and you have no real good foundation, you're struggling, you're frustrated, and everything I tell you today, you said, Scott, tomorrow I'm going to be a brand new agent. I've got it. I'm going to plan it out tonight. And between this hour and this hour, I'm going to do this. And between this hour and this hour, and man, I don't have no spare time. I'm going to be busy from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I'm going to make it happen. You're probably going to fail. That's too much, too dramatic of a change. And you will do it for one day. Do it for 2 days. By the third day or the first of next week, you would start undoing. You would start undoing. You would say, I don't got it in me, and you would start skipping. So when we get on a regimen, so I get people interested, I get them coming to my classes, and then all of a sudden you can't be here. And then you miss one. And then what happens? I missed one. I don't feel like going this time. And then you're starting a new routine, right? Because you've changed it, you pivoted, you skipped something. So the right way to do this is you only add a little bit and you space the additions out. So you say, you know what, I'm going to do a little prep work for the rest of this week, but next week I'm going to dedicate, 25 minutes or 20 minutes to doing some phone calls or doing a social media reel or something like that. And I'm just going to do that for a week and a half. And then I'm going to do a couple of calls in a reel. So 2 weeks from now, I'm going to, maybe 3 weeks from now, I'm going to do that. And then, I'm going to start planning a open house every other weekend. And I'm going to start doing that in July. But if you said tomorrow I'm going to have an open house every weekend, and I haven't had an open house in 6 months, and I'm going to do 6 reels a day, and I'm going to, make 35 calls, it ain't never going to happen. Never going to happen. So start small, build up, perpetuate up, and add to, and say over the next 60 days or 75 days, I want to get to doing this, and I'm going to start here. So hopefully that makes sense. So I want to set you up for success. Confidence comes from action. Small steps today lead to major breakthroughs tomorrow. Relationship building. Prospecting is not chasing, it's a relationship cultivating. So this is why that I feel strongly in this business that we should be out there just building as many relationships as we possibly can and adding new ones as much as we can. This concept of online leads and things like that, they're not a business model that anyone would ever enjoy versus getting involved in a community activity or something you like. So I'm going to be doing a training session. It's called Fun for Profits. That's next week. And I'm going to show you the insights of how to take all the fun stuff that you do and the stuff that maybe you don't do that you would enjoy doing and actually making that a total business model where you're making money and earning and making a living doing real estate and then just enjoying everything you do in life. It's quite amazing because that's where it really happens. And just as well, you always find out if you were someone that does expireds. You know, as I talk to them, I would say, you know, I'm just kind of curious how you ended up with the agent you started with. It was somebody I knew. So with that said, it lines with the fact that it's relationship. So they're getting business with no skill set just because they know somebody versus you have skill set and you know somebody. Okay. And so that's the pathway to make this business really work is just building relationships versus you rarely had somebody and so you know they expired, they didn't have a good strong agent in their pocket that served them. No disrespect to anyone, but it was just because they knew somebody, and not based on skill set. So shift your focus from hunting to from the hunt to the harvest, build genuine connections and grow lasting partnerships. But you have to constantly massage that and build it. So winning mindset, old mindset, I hate prospecting, new mindset, I help people solve problems. And so I'm trying to help you solve a problem, right? Your problem is your willpower to take action. So, and you're appreciating what you're hearing from me. And that is the way. That is the way, is when you're solving problems, you know, and knowing that first you got to identify what the need is. What is the need? What's the situation? And then when you can address people by saying, based on that, this is what I believe you should be doing to get where you want to be and what that looks like. So you have to be good at listening to people. You have to be good at navigating. It's possible that, you know, selling somebody's home is not the right solution. Unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily mean income for you, but it is still your duty to help people and give them, you know, a solution that works for their circumstance. And the rewards behind that may not be a sale at that moment, but it will potentially turn into business because who are they going to remember when they know somebody that actually needs to sell a home or buy a home, or when 3 or 4 years goes down the road and now selling is the right option? Should be you. So shift your perspective from selling to serving. Your value lies in the solutions you provide your clients. This is just a repeat. Small daily actions create massive long-term results. You know, we just have to be in the grind. Consistency is the key to extraordinary success. Focus on process, and the outcomes will take care of themselves. You know, I was never focused on my paycheck. I was focused on what my customers needed. Because I did that, it's sort of magical. The paychecks came because I was all about and literally, you know, the direction I went and supported and took my customers down didn't always end with the best paycheck. It was the right thing. But I always did well on my income as a result of that. So, audience exercise. If you want, we can talk about this. I don't know what time it is. We are bouncing on 6 o'clock. So I think we'll just kind of skip that. Uh, um, but maybe think about these things. What fear holds you back? What activity do you avoid? And then what's the last one there? What action can you commit to daily? Now, when you commit to an action, the action has to be producing opportunities. I can only tell you, I talk to and coach a lot of agents, and their actions, they think they worked, but they are that none of that actions that they're doing are ever going to make them money. And no disrespect to what they are, but they're not doing the right actions. And I'll give you a few examples. They may not fit well with you, or they may, but it is actually a fact. Going on caravans is not, because only if you had a buyer for a specific home that you might actually take it there. But if you're filling up the day with 3 or 4 hours of some activity like that, no disrespect to the realtor boards, but doing, being on committees and stuff in there, unless your business is flowing with success, you should be doing, committees and stuff in community organizations that give you opportunity and you still give back. And these are just a few examples. Or playing on social media, thinking, oh, I watched Scott's 30-second tip and I ended up watching 45 minutes of garbage. So I spent 45 minutes on social media, so that should count for work. Never. And so, the world is filled with distractions, and we gotta be very focused on what we're supposed to be doing with our time. And I give you the exact roadmap of actions depending on the method that you choose. Honest reflection is the first step towards growth. Take a moment to answer these 3 questions for yourself. So spend some time with that. 30-day challenge. This is not enough depth for this. So as I'm coaching, I'm kind of making some adjustments, because I really have had my coaching say every day you spend an hour doing this particular action, but I've really started to realize some things about not necessarily following an exact map of a day, each individual day. But for instance, let's say you do, maybe you do call physicals and expireds, and then you also are trying to attract customers using social media. I really feel that maybe you should have like Monday social media day, and you plan out and create all of your social media content for the week on Mondays, and that takes up that prospecting time block for that. And then maybe Thursdays and Fridays, you're actually, doing maybe the research on Thursdays and the phone calls on Fridays for, getting customer leads in that world, versus doing some social media content creation every single day for 30 minutes, making 30 or 45 minutes of calls. It just doesn't seem to be working as well as now. I've worked with some agents to actually break it up and say Mondays for social media, Wednesdays for this, and Thursdays for that, within that same time point of their day. It's just flipping to a different type of action on that day. So that's something, but consistency is absolutely required. And we call it routine as well. Posting value online, That's if you're doing social media as a content, which is our really amazing way to attract opportunities. But value content is making sure it's content that it solves a problem or shares a skill. Those are the types of content that you're going to bring. If it's like, hey, you're looking to buy a home, call 1-800-SCOTT, he gets it done. That kind of crap will not go anywhere. If you share something that helps somebody solve a problem, or you share something that helps them understand something and it shows off your level of knowledge and skill set, that's how you're going to start attracting opportunities. And it takes some time for that to happen. Discipline in small actions leads to extraordinary growth. We're done.